Welcome to FCC Supporters Square. For fans, by fans, and about fans. Here are your hosts, Mark Shubin and Matt Gorman. Hey, it's okay. You're at FCC Supporters Square. You're in a safe space. Let it all out. You know what happened. They know what happened, especially they do. They. How are we doing on this somewhat somber, mostly all of the feels type of Thursday?
Man, I'm keeping it up.
I
Keeping my head
love that
up.
voice.
Yeah, it's about half here. Gave
After
the other half to TQL Stadium last night and to uh, at Bailey. It was not a fun place to be. I mean, it was loud, of course, but just all those messy jerseys. Even they had the audacity to have kids have the Miami jersey on, and it just didn't go well. It didn't go well. So obviously, that's get that out of the way. Certainly, this right here was the highlight uh, of the Bailey. This was a wonderful tifo, and I just thank all that were involved in the preparation, the planning, and the putting together of that tifo. Wonderfully done. Wonderful dedication to Ezra Charles, who was a well renowned boxer here in the Cincinnati area. They even named it Ezra Charles for him. So Ezra Charles driving, excuse me. So just you know what? I'm glad all the hysteria and the mania is gone. And they can go to another city with that craziness. Messi mania is. Yeah, I don't want to see it here for a while.
I will say that as well. So um, there were a few messy jerseys. It really sucked whenever they scored a goal to hear people cheering, but they had to hear it from us more often than I had to hear it from them. I will say this. I will say this. There was a guy wearing an Argentina Messi jersey, not a Miami Messi jersey, with his two kids and his young son, 5, 6 maybe, wearing a Messi jersey with the daughter and a wife, right in the row in front of us. Happy when they scored, obviously, but when we scored, he stood up and applauded. When he saw the
Yeah.
chance, I don't think he's ever been to an FCC match, and I think a lot of these people didn't go to an FCC match. So kudos to
Yeah.
you, fans. Seriously, I was there. It was second only to USA Mexico in the electricity of that. I think it's a preview. It's definitely a preview of when we go to playoff hunting. We are going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Don't we lost cups in 8 days. Don't care. I mean, I'm sad. We showed honestly. Let's look at this. Let's look at this realistically. I was thinking about this today. Besides doing 12 hours of work, periodically I had other thoughts, and my periodic other thought was Miami's tied like 4 times. 4 times. Yes, they won. They advanced. They won a cup. Those are PKs. But in regular season MLS, those are draws. Those aren't. They need to win all of their games and hope other people stumble to make ninth. They're that far behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not magic. They are not magical. They are 36-year-old men who play very well, but now they're playing 8 matches in like 20 days. They got to play. They got to play a game on. We have to play a match on Saturday, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Uh, but they're going to be tired too. They can't. You can't just grind these guys 90 minutes. They need rest, and if they are not playing, they're not winning. I mean,
Right.
they're playing right now, and they're technically not winning. Technically, I should take that back. Technically, they are winning, but if you look at the score line, it's a tie. They win on PKs, which is
Yeah.
a coin toss. Look,
Yep.
the fight in this team, there's some concern. It's my we've got to finish. We've had a hard time finishing all year. as much as we've won, as much as it's been enjoyable to be watching this team, it's frustrating to see so many missed opportunities and those types of things. Now, I'm not going to make this whole broad podcast. We don't have a guest today, and that's for a reason. I didn't think I'd have a voice. I was there on Sunday as well.
Yeah.
So I get to compare and contrast the atmosphere of Columbus and the atmosphere of last night. Now, it's biased because FC Cincinnati is in my title. To me, there were people there at Columbus. They seemed to be regular fans. It felt like a little more than an extra game. I mean, there was some banter and a little bit of this and that. But from a crowd standpoint, they were mid as far as I was concerned. There were times when we were louder. There was times when we just stopped chanting, which was also not fun, but it was also very hot, very humid, a long day for some of us. And you're down 2 goals and they're looking terrible. It's hard to really chant on the road when that is happening. They threw out some fireworks. They threw up a tifo. It was Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I thought it was okay. I'm not going to say it sucked. It didn't. That for their fan base, it was probably good. And it probably makes me mad. They crank, I didn't like the crew rocks. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just being biased, but it was okay. Different game, different cup, not really a rival, but it's messy. And everybody was hyped for that, right? They weren't hyped for us. Columbus was not hyped for us. They were happy to be there. And I'm glad they got their win. And we played terribly. And there were some bad calls, but they just played terribly. The crowd was okay. Now I'm being a little prudish, but I was a little unhappy walking down the street going F the crew in front of kids and families. I certainly feel that sentiment, but I don't verbalize it. So maybe we should think about that, keeping that banner, a little more internal, but that's just me. I'm not going to, like I said, there's no wrong way to fan, so I'm not going to admonish anybody for doing that. That just wasn't my cup of tea. That's all I'm going to say for that part. But the way the teams played night and day. That team, the team that I saw on that pitch last night is the team that I've fallen in love with this year. Well, I've always in love with them, but you understand what I'm saying. That team said, Messi, tonight's not your night. And guess what? Yes, he delivered balls that went into the net, but those were not magical free kicks that somehow avoided, 4 of our defenders tightly guarding him and just magically found a head. Guy was unmarked. I mean, if Messi doesn't take that kick, you don't go, oh my gosh, that was Messi doing it again. Messi did Messi. Messi didn't do Messi. He had a free kick, and I said that before it happened. I said, Alec Khan is going to remember this night, the night he stopped a free kick from Messi. And he did. Because, he's got to say that. Well, I remember I was playing in that game, and it wasn't Roman, it was me. And he had a free kick, and I stopped it. So, he's going to be saying that. He's going to get free beers for doing that, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, but kudos to the fan. Not just the Bailey guys always do. You guys always bring it. There was a section, about 2 or 3 of us that sing in our midfield area. There was about 8 or 9 of us singing on here. When the goal celebration, which is my favorite thing in the whole world, happens in the Bailey, I'm now looking at the wings on either side of the Bailey. They're doing it. I saw kids in my section jumping up and down, doing the arm wave. It's happening. It's beginning to spread. It's not just old people sitting on, like a baseball game, sitting on the fence saying, sit down, sit down. No, it's beginning to get raucous. It was loud. It was loud. Cincinnati should be proud of that. And don't worry about, this is me on my soapbox. This is my bad take. Don't worry about what anybody says. The national media, they can love Messi all day. They can say Messi won this game, and clearly he did not. We were there. We have tape to prove it. He had moments, which is good. And watching him move was stunning, really, because he doesn't ever stop. He doesn't play any defense, but he doesn't stop. And he's always looking for that move, right? Because you know what? Obi's a very, very, very good defender. He could probably play on any team, probably play in the Premier League. And you might even think of Premier League defenders. They don't make money because they don't dribble around people and make shots. But if you don't have them on your team, you're not winning any hardware. And I think you're gonna see that in Miami. I mean, they're winning hardware because of these games with PKs, right? But we'll see next year. We'll see next year. But they're not going to happen this year, and that's why I wanted to have this. This is kind of cathartic. Usually we're happy-go-lucky here, when we still are. But just a bad game on Sunday, I really don't want to talk about. And a really good game last night just happened, and I'm surprised I have this much voice after 2 games.
Yeah.
But you guys did amazing. So I heard, there was a lot of kerfuffles in the Bailey because of jerseys. And you know what? If you were just rooting for your team, right? It's a home section. There's a reason why it's a special section.
Yeah.
And if you're going to come down there, if you're going to wear an opposing team's jersey like you see in the commercials, that ain't happening. I've seen those commercials where like, oh, I'm going to take a drink and somebody plays a drum and everybody laughs.
Yeah.
No, that never happens in any home section.
Right.
But if you were somehow if you were wearing an Argentina Messi jersey in the Bailey, first off, not cool. But if you did that and you just enjoyed the game, I'd probably let it slide. But if you're in that section with those people, and I do know those people, and you go, yeah, you guys suck it in that section, that's a recipe for disaster. And that's why, boys and girls, we don't want them in the Bailey.
Yeah.
That's because that's what you're doing. You're throwing jet fuel on an already hot fire.
Yes.
So please stop it. That's all I'm gonna say. So how are you doing? What are your feels for the game?
Well, comparing, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling beat up. Workday was fun for me too. Just like, yeah, can you hear me? Yes, yeah, you can hear me. That's great. But the biggest thing, I comparing the Columbus match to Miami, was our midfield. Our midfield played their tails off, and you got to give it to Obi, Junior Moreno, Barriel, Arias. They played. I mean, they were up and down the field, all over the place. They were stopped in first half. Very few chances for Miami, and it was just because we were clogging up everything they were trying to do. And this was the old team that ran through most of most of the teams in the first half of the season, and it was just nice to see us get back to that. So you didn't have to have Herculean effort by the defense. I'll just say, Nick Hagland, you played a wonderful match, and we'll just not even worry about the PK you missed. You played your tail off for 120 minutes, and I couldn't be more proud of you, sir.
I know he's listening.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's got to be one of the tens of
it's
fans
really,
that we have out here.
Really, it's Nick's #1 podcast.
Yes,
from an old Lakota guy to another old Lakota guy. Yeah.
Yes, that's the connection. I get it, man. But certainly, I just saw this team not quit. But the second half, you saw a different team, a team that sort of played back a little bit, gave Miami some space, and you cannot give world-class players that kind of space. Eventually, it will come back to bite you. And we're so close. The Kubo handball, terrible call. And how close was Powell to getting that header that Campagna dropped last seconds? That's stuck us hard. That hurt. But they played their ass off, and I just couldn't be happier, for them. Obviously, we didn't advance. We were so close, but we've got 10 matches to prove that the last 3 matches have not been in vain. Certainly, the results don't look pretty, but we've got 10 matches to go, and I think what we saw last night was going to be what is going to be expected the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Look, we're MLS. We're not Premier League. We're not spending $200 million. We're not Chelsea and have 14 wingers. So if Boop gets tired and Vasquez gets tired, we put in Boop Jr. and Vasquez Jr. and don't skip a beat. We have flaws. We have thinness. There were some bad decisions by coaches, by staff. It's hot. I'm not trying to sound like we have excuses, but that team showed literally the entire world that is a team to be reckoned with. That team could play with anybody. I'm not saying they could beat Liverpool or Tottenham or Barca or whoever you want to pick, but they won't. It wouldn't be 6-0. It would be maybe 3-1 or 2-0 or something like. They would play their butts off, and you'd go, okay, yeah, those guys can hang. They're worthy. These guys are worthy. This 11 is worthy, and so a couple of our subs are worthy. We just don't have when Mosquera is out, right? None of those set pieces go in if Mosquera is there. I prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I know you can't, but there's that. I'm just happy. I mean, hats off to Nashville for them kind of showing that they're mortal. Messi did kind of break down Zimmerman and put a zinger dinger in there, but they shut them down after that. After that shot, they shut them down. They just can't score. We should have scored more. We should have won. We were the better team last night. This is twice that we played against Nashville the same way. They bunkered down. They said don't score, and we had 3 chances to put the ball in the net, and we didn't. Last night, offsides killed us. Bad calls killed us. But in spite of all that, we still had shots that should have been in. We hit the crossbar. I mean, it's just all kinds of things that just happen. This is fixable. We've got a schedule that's a little congested, but I think we can do this. The hard part for us, this is the thought I'm going to ask you, is how good are they going to be on Saturday? Because some of them got subbed out, right? So people are saying, well, why were they subbed out? Because we've got a very important game on Saturday. If we had won Columbus, they might have been able to play 120. But we didn't beat Columbus, so now we need Lucho for 90. NYCFC isn't going to roll over. They're not going to say, all right, they're the better team. We play like we did last night. We can win, and maybe we could sub them out and hold on again. But these guys need rest. Barreal looked like he ran out of fluid 30 minutes before he was pulled out.
Yes.
He looked like a dry sponge by the time he walked off the field.
Yeah.
So, but good news for those who are listening and those who are watching. Thank you. My daughter, originally from here, from New York City, is in town specifically to go to the game to NYCFC. She is not an NYCFC fan. She is an FC Cincinnati fan, and she has brought like 8 or 9 of her New York friends to come to the game. Wow. And not all of them, but most of them are sitting in the Bailey. They came to experience the Bailey feeling. Yeah. So if you are interested and you hear about this, you see me, they're going to be tailing with me. They're going to come to the march. They're going to get the full Cincy experience. They're going to Nelly's. They're going to hear us chanting. It's going to be loud and proud and lots of fun. Then when we go to the march, come up and say hi to my daughter Tara and her friends. And when they sit in the Bailey, because I am not sitting in the Bailey, I know that you find people will make sure that they go loud and proud for 90 minutes plus.
Excellent, excellent,
So,
excellent.
so
And on
go
and
ahead.
on the family thread, let me throw this in. A very happy birthday to your better half, Miss Sheila Warman.
Well, thank you so much. She was the birthday present was well, part of her birthday present was uh going to the game. I said, look, it's your birthday. I had Messi show up to play a special game just for you. I don't know if she bought it, but I tried. She is
Brownie
amazing,
points,
and I and I
maybe
and I love her dearly.
maybe half a brownie point. I don't know.
Maybe she earns it and then some with me, and I probably still owe her a million Messi matches just to even get close. So
Yeah,
I do love her dearly. Thank you very much for that.
certainly.
Yeah, so we've got an upcoming game now that we've got the catharsis out. You guys did great. Let's bring this up. I hope at some point in the future, we don't have to wait to playoffs or Messi to have a whole stadium go crazy. I
Hmm.
think winning is contagious, and I think going crazy is contagious. And we've got a
Yes.
lot of new people who I think, like, not just people who just at the Messi game, but new people this season who have really kind of caught on to the game, caught on to the team. What you would call quick bandwagon. I don't like that term. You show up when you show up, and you leave when you leave. It's okay. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of new people to the traditions, and I think they're beginning to just now pick up the traditions right at the right time of the season because we're really going to need not just the Bailey, but everybody stand up, chant,
Yeah.
boo. I love the boos. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. But it was neat to see some of the ruffled feathers of those. How dare you boo the goat? And I'm like, look,
Does,
you know,
does anybody say, how dare you boo Mahomes? Does anybody say, how dare you boo Tom Brady? Oh my
yeah,
gosh, you can't possibly boo him. He's a good guy.
yeah.
Oh,
And
he's not on my team. I'll boo
and
anybody not on my team. That doesn't mean I think he's the terrible person or he's a terrible player. That's my job as a fan, is to make my team better than the other team.
yeah.
I,
And
I it's fan 101. Come on, people.
yep. And I certainly respect their opinion. But we have a history at FC Cincinnati. When Bastian Schweinsteiger came in 2017, we booed him relentlessly, end to end. The boos were louder at the other end of the stadium from the Bailey, and we were amazed by what we saw. We booed Zlatan. We booed Wayne Rooney. And boy, oh boy, all this Messi mania and busking cookies and jerseys sold on TQL's steps. Uh, oh yeah, he deserved every single boo that we could muster for
Don't mess with the natty.
him.
Don't messy with the natty, I guess is what
Yeah,
that is.
yeah.
I saw a shirt, I think it was Cincy shirts. It said, don't messy with the natty. And then it says, I ain't afraid of no goat.
Yep.
I like that shirt.
Fun stuff.
I
Fun,
like
fun
that.
stuff.
Keep it going. Yes. Messy cookies. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? All right. We'll let that go. One last thing before we move on to next week's or Saturday's game, two
Yeah.
days. Uh, what did you think of the pregame, particularly the Bengals, including Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Hubbard pulling out the sword? How did that play into Bailey? It was hard to tell.
I saw that as, these are the Titans, I guess, of Cincinnati football. And Cincinnati is a rich American football town. You know, we've got class high schools, and of course UC, Ohio State, UK down below, down south. This is strong football town. So when they were on the field, you sensed not only their size, but just how much they're appreciated in this town for the success that they are having. So it was Hubbard pulling the sword, and Burrow and the rest were there. That was mad props to the Bengals collaborating on that with us. And it's correct. And the Mandalorian, FCC Mandalorian, will agree with all of this. It's great to bring both of these sports together, especially at a time where winning is the tradition happening. So this ain't real. This ain't
Right.
legacy Cincinnati here. This is the new Cincinnati, and it's fun and it's exciting and it's great to see Bengals on TQL Stadium's pitch.
Earlier this year, we had the Reds. So this is something that I don't recall. I remember a time, because I'm old, where Reds fans and Bengals fans were separate entities. You were not a fan of the Bengals and the Reds.
Yeah.
You might have been a Browns fan, maybe, but you were a Reds fan, and then maybe you might go to a game. Bengals fans were not really Reds fans. They were like two separate things, and they kind of sniped at each other like this.
Yeah, I'd say during those years, you also had, Catholics didn't date Lutherans, and and Baptists didn't date anyone. I don't think. So
a much simpler, more racist time. Yes,
it was very. It was not as blended as it is today. So,
but here's the thing, right? So there was always this kind of animosity, and even when social media started, there was still this kind of gamesmanship. What I've liked in the last 5 years, and maybe it's FC since I want to believe that it was FC Cincinnati as the linchpin. It's like, why can't we all get along instead of them both going, well, we both hate soccer, so we both hate you. No, they're like, okay, sure. So it's great. You don't have to be. As we talked to Bangalorian and Tyler Minerty, we've talked to Bengals fans. They're hardcore Bengals fan, but it's the summertime. They're getting geared up, right? It's a couple of weeks until the first game of the season. You got to be geared up. If you're a Bengals fan, be geared up. But that doesn't mean you can't do anybody else. You can't support anybody else. Both of those guys have proven. Come to the game. It's exciting. We had Messi. It was exciting. It was a thrilling game. If you were just a fan, a casual, that game was nuts. That game was bonkers. We scored 2 goals. They scored too much extra time, but they scored a goal almost at the death. In extra time to tie it. Then they take the lead almost immediately, and then we score almost at the death, and then it goes to PKs. I mean, that was 2.5 hours of bonkers.
Yeah.
It was. So, I mean, that was bang for the buck. So if you're an FC Cincinnati fan, don't be afraid to go to a Reds game. Don't be afraid to go to a Bengals game. As a matter of fact, those guys want to show off their Bengals traditions as much as we want to show off our marches and whatnot. As a matter of fact, what's going to be very interesting, I know it's going to be happening in the next couple of years, if not this year. They are going to march. At some point, there's going to be Bengals fans. There's going to be a Bengals fan march going to Paul Brown Stadium at some point. There'll be. I've already seen Bengals scarves, so it's good. It should be interesting.
Yeah.
So let's kind of break down what Saturday means to us as fans, and we're not pundits, but we're going to do our best to say, hey, we're going to do a reverse pivot and a double pivot, and we're going to play quadruple. No, I'm just kidding. So what do you expect on Saturday, given the amount of energy they put in last night?
Well, they've got basically 3 days to turn this around. 3 games in 8 days, or 3 games in 7 days, right?
Yeah.
3 games. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough ask. I almost want to think that we'll get a few subs out there. Given Angulo, who has and Pinto, who have proven strong. Santos went a long time, so I don't see him getting that nod. He got a really bad knock about a minute after he came in, so. I still see him as a super sub for us, but I'd like to see a 2 or 3, sprinkling of subs in there, just to give a couple of guys the rest that they deserve. Because their effort has been well no, well done. Um, with NYCFC, they're only two spots above Miami, so it's uh, they're a long way down. But this is the last 10, and this is match number 1 of those 10. We don't need to look forward to match 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to look at match 1, and match 1 is right here. We need these 3 points. We need to keep the pedal on the metal for the supporter shield. That is the goal. NYCFC, you don't know what you're going to get from them. They, back in July, they sent their leading scorer to a Qatarian side. So he left. So literally, their leading score is 4 goals. That's it. So you just don't know what you're going to get out of this team, but this is a match you have to win. You've got to get the 3 points. You've got to put yourself in position to make that final run for the supporter shield.
This is kind of a playoff in my mind,
Yeah.
right? So we've lost the cups. Cups are out of the way. Cups are behind us. They're cups. US Open Cup, up to lose in extra time. It happens. It's just the way we do with the Open Cup. But the same year we won the supporter shield. Same year that we lost in the cup, we won the supporter shield. We didn't do great in the playoffs, but we did win the supporter shield. This year, I think it's going to be different. This is a game with a winnable team, even with I think it's a couple of substitutions. We've got Mascara. He could have played, but they held him back because Saturday's more important. The coaching staff, the front office pretty much said, Mascara could have played, but we need him for Saturday. So if we have Piazga and Mascara and Roman, Alec Khan, you did a great job, but Roman was the only good player I saw on Sunday. He was amazing. He took a month off. He must have gone to several camps. He got a lot of orange slices. He looked good. So if we have that back line, I don't want to keep Lucho out whole game. Maybe he starts 45. If we can get up a couple of goals, I'm not saying we can, but if we do, I think we can pull Lucho like we did yesterday, right? We pulled him out. Boot only went like 65.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as it's like 85, 90. Hopefully it's not, completely muggy, 100% humidity where we're all losing, water by the buckets. But I think even with some slight rotations, we can win a close game, a 2-1 game, a 3-2 game. I don't really want to give up 2 goals, but I think it's going to be one of those things. I don't think we're looking past them. I think this team is going to come back out after what they played last night and say, that's not a fluke. We don't do that just, once. And we have not lost at home. Both of those games on PKs are ties. So we have yet to drop a game at home.
Exactly.
Even the games that we dropped, extra time in PKs, that's a crapshoot. It really is.
Yep.
So
we've either won or drawn.
What's your score prediction for Saturday?
I'm gonna say 2-0. 2-0.
I will take that score.
I just think Roman might be tested, but he's going to be up for the challenge. I think the defense will do all they need to do, and keep that ball out of the net. And I think we get some unsung heroes that maybe pull through. Maybe Boop gets his. Don't know if Kubo might get a start. He certainly deserved it from what we saw yesterday. So if that happens, great. He deserves it. And we might see a goal by him. So that's my hopeful take on a wonderful 3-point victory on Saturday.
Every time we win, those other teams who are fighting to get to us and fighting below us, they all have to play each other as well. We keep thinking, we're only 8 points up, or we're only 5 points if this team wins or that team wins. No, don't worry about them. They're gonna have to play each other at least once, or somebody really close who's trying to get to their spot. So
Yep.
all we need to do is win. I think ideally 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 wins probably puts us out of reach. We then can start relaxing a little bit and try to go for the points record. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about points record. I just want to win Saturday 2-1. Look for my daughter. And I want to say a quick shout out to you, Yakubo. You looked amazing. You looked amazing. Way to go, buddy. And you've got a chant. I like the Kubo chant as well.
Yeah. It's getting pretty. I like the player specific chants. They're working. They are to me very, international chanting. They do very well in chanting for their players. So I'm glad we're catching on to that and are getting that out there.
And a lot of it is very organic. I don't know who does it. It's not like somebody says, "Hey, this is how we're going to do this." Somebody just says, "Let's do it," and then it just catches on fire and it sticks. I love it.
Yep, for sure.
Sadly, we've run out of time, so hopefully we laughed, we cried, we got over it, and we're moving on, because there's only one direction we move in life, and that is forward. And that's how we at FC Supporter Square, FCC Supporter Square, because we are the FC. Everybody knows that. That's how we roll. We roll forward because our reverse is broken.
Yes.
So Mark, thank you. Sadly I will be out of town next week. So there will be darkness in your lives. If you were expecting something Thursday night, Friday morning, don't worry, we'll come back with we've got guests and other fun stuff. Don't worry about us. We'll be back, and this is like episode 23.
Yeah.
The AKA the Jordan episode.
Oh yeah.
This very special episode. So don't worry, folks. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Get your voices ready for Saturday, because I'm losing mine and Mark has already lost his. So
it's gone.
Drink your tea, drink your water, and we'll see you. Well, we'll see you Saturday, but we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Have a good time, everybody. Welcome to FCC Supporters Square. For fans, by fans, and about fans. Here are your hosts, Mark Shipman and Matt Foreman.